Hi, I'm Andre. Welcome back to Metapunk Zero. So in this episode, I just want to establish a few ground rules for the Psychosis Diaries and how I'm going to engage with them, and how I would hope that any viewers who wish to engage with me will hopefully engage. I don't know that it needs to be said, but I just feel like for my own peace of mind, I'd like to kind of get this off my chest, and just in case anything arises, I can always refer back to this. And again, I don't think anybody who's already with the channel is has any issues with this or anything like that. I just sort of for future reference, and in the hope that other viewers come to the channel and find this material interesting. I just want to kind of establish kind of my hope for it. So the first thing, of course, is that I would hope that people will be kind and respectful, and as I say, to this date, everybody has been very much so, and I greatly appreciate that, and I just hope that that will continue, because I'm obviously going to be sharing some things that are very vulnerable for me. My life has been really severely damaged. There's been a lot of pain to do with psychosis and mental health issues that I've suffered, and sort of getting into that, to talk about those things publicly is, it's going to take some courage from me, and so I hope that it will be met with kindness and respect, and again, as I say, it has been so far, and I greatly appreciate that. So just moving forward, that's how I would engage. The golden rule, treat others as you would have them treat you, and I'm gonna try to do that. I'm going to do that as well, hopefully, and hopefully people will do that with me. And that is just further to that, part of what that respect means is that everybody is worthy. A big issue for me is kind of wrestling with, there's a dominant belief in the culture that if people are ineffective in life, or if they fail to achieve results, that they're somehow lacking, that there's a real stigma with that. And this goes beyond mental illness. This goes to everything in life. But so many of us, particularly men, but everybody really, women and men as well, and non-binary people too, have dealt with this issue where the culture is constantly telling us that we have to achieve, and that we have to perform, and that we have to get results, and our results are how we're measured. This is supposedly a meritocracy. That's how we supposedly run our culture. I mean, there's a lot of problems with that, and I will talk about that later on in some of the wider Metapunk videos, not so much in the Psychosis Diaries, but touching on it, because it's all related. But there's this belief that if you don't do that, if you don't get results, that you're lazy, or that you're incompetent, or that you're somehow lacking. You're seen as less than. You're seen as a lesser person. If you don't get results in life, and if you've suffered with a mental illness or any challenges in your life at all, then you've already seen how your results are impacted by whatever problems you're facing. And so this isn't necessarily to make excuses for that. I mean, I do think there's times that we have to kind of suck it up and move forward a little bit. That we have to kind of, we have to make the effort. But you can make a lot of effort in life and get nowhere, because you're facing challenges that are just overwhelming, and lots of people deal with that. And there's a lot of judgment that goes around in our culture around that, particularly in certain political camps, about the worth of other people, because they're not productive enough or whatever. And so laziness is a myth as far as I'm concerned. I think people dealing with trauma, or dealing with mental health crises, or just other life challenges, or income insecurity, like if they can't get a level foundation upon which to build, for whatever reason, that can really impact people. So that's another way that I will hopefully people will understand that, and when I engage, because I'm going to be talking about that, and I've emphasized this point a lot, because it's a major point of insecurity for me. So I mean, on some level, me going through this video and the future videos of the Psychosis Diaries is going to be, on some level, me grappling with this level of shame that I've experienced, trying to get results in my own life for my own benefit, not necessarily to perform for other people, but I certainly feel really shamed by the fact that I haven't gotten where I wanted to get so far. Anyway, so and then finally, the final point of that is that often when people talk about their vulnerabilities or when they talk about their issues in a public way, I mean, people will tell you, you know, don't talk about your issues in front of other people. Don't be vulnerable in front of other people, because people will take advantage of that. First of all, they'll use it to take advantage of you, or they'll be disrespectful or whatever. But they'll also use it, and I suppose this is a good time to sort of introduce the drama triangle. I will talk about the drama triangle, but there's there's three sides of the drama triangle, which is the Cartman drama triangle, which is a sort of a rubric for understanding the social interactions that people can have, the way that they relate to each other when there's a little bit of tension, and when there's control issues, or when anybody has insecurities, you know. And I'll talk about that more in detail in a specific video. And again, that may or may not be included in the Psychosis Diaries proper, but it will be included on the channel somewhere. It's definitely a major topic for Metapunk. But the drama triangle has three sides, or three corners to it. And you have the victim, who is always saying, poor me, you know, I need more, you know, or whatever. I'm not, you know, they're acting helpless and whatever. And that is not necessarily an act. You know, they might they legitimately feel helpless and they're needing help from other people. Whether or not they actually are helpless or can help themselves is a matter of their own perception. They're not able to see that, maybe. And so maybe they do need some assistance with that. But that brings in the other two roles on the triangle, because one corner of the triangle you tend to get something like a persecutor, somebody telling the other person, you're lazy, just pick yourself up, just get on with it, just get over it, you know, and that kind of thing. And that's really toxic. That's really problematic when people give messages like that. And you know, because it doesn't take into account the other person's actual situation and their actual challenges, you know. And it's meant to be encouraging maybe, but it doesn't encourage them. It just shuts them down, you know. And so that becomes a dynamic between the persecutor and the victim. The persecutor and then the rescuer, which is the third corner on the triangle, can also get into a dynamic too, where the rescuer acts like a hero, or, you know, defends the victim, and the persecutor goes to war with the rescuer, and so the two of them can get into conflict as well. That doesn't so much pertain to the Psychosis Diaries here, because I am sort of ostensibly assuming the role of the vulnerable person here, so that's why it's a little bit tricky. But the rescuer can also be problematic, because the rescuer wants to rescue the victim and wants to be really supportive, and can often get into trouble or cause problems for the person on the lower end of or in the vulnerable corner of not really on the triangle, but for a vulnerable person, because they want to swoop in and they want to help and they want to bolster this other person, but it means that they're still getting into the other person's issues, and not just sort of, you know, what's needed in a situation like this is the ability to accept and to listen and to just sort of take it in. And that's what I'm hoping for. That's kind of the vibe that I want to cultivate in the Psychosis Diaries. So that's a long-winded way for me to kind of explain it, but and I'll go into more detail, as I say, on the drama triangle. But that's kind of the gist of it. And so I'm hoping that anybody engaging with this content, you know, because I will be in the vulnerable position, I will seem to be in the victim role. I may tumble into it at particular times. I will try to stay out of the victim role, but I will be in a vulnerable position. So that's going to invite both prosecutors or persecutors and rescuers to come in. And so I'm hoping that people who are watching these videos will be able to step back and notice whether or not they're doing those things, because it turns out that this understanding the drama triangle is actually key to so much healing and so much interacting with people in terms of balanced relationships with other people, that it just gets rid of a lot of drama when you're able to spot these things before they happen or as they're happening, and then step back. And so that's kind of my hope, is that people will do that. And in exchange for that, I want to talk about my responsibilities, or as I see them, in the Psychosis Diaries, and so that is first and foremost to be as honest as I can. I will relay my experiences in good faith, and much as I can. I will try to account things as clearly as I can remember them, or as they come to me. I think there's a bit of a bind with some of this, because I have to be respectful of my own boundaries. There's some things that I won't share, because they're either too personal or too problematic. Like there's some things that I could share that I debate sharing on YouTube because they're so frightening and they're so out there that they could disturb people. And so I have to kind of gauge that. So I will be as honest as I can while also respecting my own boundaries. I'll also try to respect the boundaries of anybody else involved in my experiences. Certainly, you know, my psychoses, sorry, haven't happened in a vacuum. Some of them have been followed along on problems with other people. There's a lot of relational trauma that goes into the psychosis experience, and I will talk about that for sure as well. It's sort of flatly contradicted by the biomedical model, but we'll get into that. But insofar as other people were involved or mentioned or just occurred to me like as a theme in my psychosis, then I want to be as respectful of their boundaries as possible. So I won't mention any names, and I'll try not to even mention the relationships or even genders and things like that. I'll try to be as low key as I can on that, so that other people's boundaries are respected. And I'm also going to be trying to be as forgiving as I can on this channel, and in all possible ways. I'll be as forgiving of myself as I can. There's a lot of guilt and shame that goes that went into my psychosis experiences, and I'll try to be as forgiving of other people, the aforementioned other people that I'm trying to be respectful to. I want to be as forgiving of them as I can be, as to see them as human beings, and to see us all as human and imperfect, but doing our best as much as we can. And I want to be as forgiving and gracious as I can be with viewers and audience, whatever happens. And so, having established all of these, sort of ground rules, I guess, I know it's a bit long-winded, but I just feel like I wanted to get that out of the way so that people can understand the spirit that I want to engage with this in. Because what I'm going to do here is, it's really daunting. It's kind of scaring me to do it, just to share so much. So this, just for my own peace of mind, I've put this here. This is a bit of a defense for me, and a bit of just sort of insurance, or whatever. And that said, thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you for joining me here. I hope what I have to share is interesting to you. I hope it brings some new knowledge or new experience or perspective. I hope it helps you if you're ever dealing with somebody in psychosis, or God forbid ever have to go through it yourself. And it's not something I would wish on anybody. It's not a pleasant experience. So, well, I guess it can be for certain people, but it wasn't for me. So, and it frequently isn't for people. So, anyway, all that said, thank you for joining me. I think the ground rules are out of the way, and that said, let's get to it. Thank you so much.